When you fall down, you have to get back up.
When is it gonna happen to me?
It's hard to have patience. I mean, it is. If you really want it bad enough, you cannot skip steps.
Be grateful for what you got.
If you really want to get on that grind and you don't like your job,
I'm still cooking their bacon.
Because you're always going to be wondering, what if?
Damn, I'm only here for one reason and one reason only, though. Patience starts now.
Welcome to Patience the Podcast. This is Sammie G.
And Donnie D.
This is where brand meets culture. Right now, you guys, it's a very special podcast, a very special time in the world going on with COVID-19 and the coronavirus cases. Right now, worldwide, there's over 400,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19 all around the globe. It has sparked a national debate as being one of the most influential pandemics of our time. Donnie, what are some of the things that you hear going on right now and around the globe?
As of today, 2 healthcare providers from Georgia have died in the last 24 hours. Known cases of coronavirus have doubled in the last 2 days. We have shortages of PPEs. Personal protective equipment are among the biggest concerns going into what is undoubtedly the most substantial increase in cases and even borderline unmanageable stress onto the healthcare systems in states like Washington, California, and New York. Officials in New York have actually asked anyone who's recently visited New York to self-quarantine for 14 days. And if citizens of New York City have left because of the crisis in the city, you need to self-isolate for 14 days wherever you're traveling to next. So ICU beds are quickly becoming scarce and possibly the next major issue if flattening the curve wasn't serious enough around the country. The virus has sharply increased for younger patients, with nearly 40% of patients ages 20 to 54 being hospitalized in the U.S. and 12% of ICU patients being between the ages of 20 and 44. What are you hearing over there, Sam?
Right now, we have many concerts that are closed. The NBA has shut down, NHL shut down, MLB spring preseason shut down. Coachella announced they will no longer be having the music festival in April. It is now pushed back all the way to October. I mean, this is really taking a toll not only on just normal working citizens with a 9-to-5, but also just people who are in the music industry, who are in the entertainment industry all together. All right, you got right now in San Francisco and New York, California in total doing a shelter in place for the next 14 days. Dallas just announced recently that they also have a shelter in place with curfew set, as well as Denver just announced, I want to say yesterday, on Tuesday, it looks like March 24th, 2020, that they also will be in a shelter in place in Denver. Many counties and areas surrounding Denver are also making the switch over to having this new curfew and shelter in place. Right now, it's just been a weird time in the world. A lot of people are staying home. Your non-essential employees are, unfortunately at home right now during this crisis. So that goes from any and everyone, for the most part, that isn't deemed an essential. Which, for the most part, if you're not in the construction industry, or if you aren't in the medical field, you probably are at least working from home or not working at all. Many restaurants and small businesses have switched to either working from home, or they're now taking to go and take out orders. It's been a really crazy time. I do see a lot of people coming together, though, to support small local businesses. The confirmed cases here in the United States are sitting at around 55,330 people, 380 people that have recovered, and 804 people have died in the United States. The national emergency was declared on March 14th.
Despite 83% of cases considered to be mild, 1/5 of the world and about 80 plus million Americans are currently on lockdown. Like you mentioned, Sam, the president has authorized the activation of the National Guard in New York, Washington, and California. Dallas has issued a shelter in state, and the $2 trillion rescue package has been stalled by Senate Democrats pushing for better protections for affected workers and families, including more relief aid. The Olympic Committee finally considered postponing the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, along with all the other events that you mentioned. including the Ultra Music Festival, the Boston Marathon, NBA, NHL, and MLB seasons, the Masters, MLS, Coachella, TED's big convention, the Facebook Developer Conference, one of the biggest conventions of the year, all canceled along with South by Southwest. Current total U.S. cases passed about 42,000, with over 500 deaths on March 24th, and have now reached about 55,000, and just about 800 deaths as of March 25th. New York has officially taken up about 5% of the world's confirmed cases. Many states have to compete against price gouging of N95 masks, which have recently been as low as 85 cents, that are now as high as $7, as states continue to compete against each other and other countries around the world scrambling to meet all these crazy production needs from all the hospitals all over the country. It was a stimulus bill that was passed last Saturday that would extend free testing, extended sick leave, $1 billion in food aid. Obviously, you mentioned, Sam, that many of the states have shut down restaurants, bars, gyms, theaters, events, and schools. Secretary Steve Mnuchin has passed, or will pass, a technical correction to the economic stimulus bill intended to soften the blow of the economic downturn. I think one of the biggest concerns we have at this point, everyone's talking about, is flattening the curve before the hospital systems get too overwhelmed or too overloaded. Oregon put up a field hospital. GM, Ford, and Tesla have offered to make ventilators. Ford is manufacturing face masks. Apple has offered to donate millions of masks. And Hanes is retrofitting many of its facilities to begin making masks.
Coachella had to be canceled. These games had to be canceled. The Olympics have to be canceled. Anywhere where there are large crowds just had to be shut down. Unfortunately, I am an entertainer myself, and we had a 2020 tour that we were going to go on this summer that has now very well been pushed back to the later part of this year, which all in all, you can't perform if you're dead, can't perform if you're sick. You can't enjoy anything if you're sick anyway. So I'm hoping that within the next few months that everyone starts to feel a little bit better. Those that are infected will recover, and that we can start to lower the death rates.
And that's what I want to bring to light here. This heightened state of fear and worrying will only increase stress, which produces a hormone called cortisol, and cortisol in turn shortens something called telomeres in the body, which increases cortisol production, which decreases your immune defenses, shutting down your immunity even more and allowing your body to become more susceptible to illness. Now, I say this because most people have heightened anxiety right now. They're worrying a lot. They're stressed out. They're with family members stuck at home, having to deal with everyone's stuff in intimate spaces. So that's a really difficult challenge for families across the U.S. right now. And these telomeres in our body are a protective casing at the end of strands of our DNA. And each time one of these cells divides, it loses a bit of its telomeres. And an enzyme called telomerase can replenish it. But chronic stress and cortisol, known as the stress hormone, decreases your supply. So when the telomeres diminish, the cell dies and becomes pro-inflammatory. Inflammation in the body is what is often primary culprit and causes of all illnesses, including COVID-19. So if your immune system defenses are down, you will be more likely to catch this virus. So try to ease your stress in any way that you can. Try to mitigate any of the additional anxiety and worrying that you can. So, be mindful of mental and emotional energies that will be promoting healing your body, whether it's breathing techniques, drink plenty of water, lots of food, plenty of sleep, exercise. Some people even take to fasting and detoxification, prayer, meditation, mindfulness practices. These are all proven to increase immunity and overall health. So I urge everybody to try to take on some of these practices that'll help improve your overall health during this overtly anxiety-ridden time. Instead of letting these conditions overwhelm us, really try to take extra time out of your day to try to focus on those healthier outcomes.
This is Patience with the podcast, where brand meets culture, and I do want to go ahead and extend and motivate everyone to just have patience. You're going to need some patience during this time. I think you should just take every single day with stride and do as much as you can. This is not the time to be sitting on the couch eating popcorn, not doing anything. This is not the time to just throw out all your fitness goals. This is not the time to throw out your business goals. This is not the time to play small and to be pessimistic. So I think during this time, guys, I want to see everyone, all of my associates, all of my family, all of my friends, and just all of my listeners and viewers and audience out there, doing something positive. Please share with us some of the positive steps and things that you're taking during this time. As you may live in California or New York or down in the Denver area, what are some things that you're doing during this shelter in place as far as making yourself better and making yourself have some positivity? Now, a lot of people think they have to stay stuck inside. That's not actually true. You are able to go get some fresh air. So if you live in different places that does have a park, things of that nature, you can go on a walk even in this shelter in place. You can go to the store. You can seek medical attention. So you're not stuck in between the four walls or confined in your apartment or confined in your bedroom. Again, we do want to practice that social distancing because most of the time, we don't know who has this virus and how many people that they can be affecting. So just practice. It's better to be safe than sorry. So practice staying, 6 feet away from people. I wouldn't worry too much about it. If you have to go out into the working world and you have to do certain things, go ahead and just understand that there is a force and a universal power and a law of attraction that is working through all of us. And I think globally, if we can come to a more positive mindset, then we will see the end of this pandemic very soon.
This isn't as bad as the media and as a lot of people that have influence in the world are making it. 83% of people who get infected will only get mild cold-like symptoms. So most of people in the world, especially in the US with, first world conditions, have a robust immune system, and many people don't have pre-existing health conditions. So if you're currently living in the US and you are infected with the coronavirus, you will likely get a mild cold with a dry cough. These folks, if you're infected, will be the ones who develop a better immunity. 17% affected will develop significant symptoms, but it's a really low mortality rate, and it's a very likely outcome for you in terms of mortality if you do get it. So 70% of the people who get significant symptoms usually have pre-existing conditions, often lung issues, reduced mitochondrial function overall, and are generally over the age of 65. So don't worry. If you're not 65 and you don't have diabetes or kidney issues or lung issues, if you're not a smoker, that's great. If you are, you should probably consider quitting because this is a great time to not make your immunity more susceptible to getting it. You're most likely a low risk. So even if you get it, your 83% chance of being fine is very likely, and you've got, less than a 3% of dying if you are predisposed to a pre-existing health condition. So don't worry. Have patience. Let's get through this. We're not going to be in a serious situation as long as we're cautious when we're going out. We're being aware of social distancing. Don't touch everything in the world. Instead of going out to the bars like we saw a lot of spring breakers doing this past spring break, doctors have specifically asked people to stay at home if they can and non-essential travel to a minimum. And just be aware that the more that you're doing that, the safer that the health providers and doctors will be in their hospitals, because they're afraid of getting their kids and their families sick. So the less that we spread it, the flatter the curve will get, the sooner. And that's kind of the whole administration and the whole CDC is hoping people will do. Not to stay at home and crowd under your table and watch TV all day, but go out to get a little bit of exercise, but don't go out and do the regular social things people are normally used to doing. And that will hopefully put the high-risk people that have pre-existing health conditions and are over 65 at a much lower risk of dying. And this will look a lot less like the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic, which killed 50 to 100 million people.
We want to thank you guys for taking the time out to listen to us. This is Patience, the podcast where brand meets culture on the coronavirus, on COVID-19. Just remember, as of today, on March 25th, 2020, there's only 55,330 confirmed cases at the moment, with a little bit under 1,000 deaths total. If you want to do a percentage on that, that's going to come up to a little bit under 1%. And I pray and hope that many of you guys are staying home, but also during this time, you're building the next step for your future, and that you are making better relationships with your friends, your family, your children. This is Sammie G and Donnie D, and we are Pacing the Podcast, where brand meets culture. Donnie, did you have any last words for the audience?
During these unsettling times, just keep in mind that this virus is not the most contagious. Measles, smallpox, polio, HIV, and SARS are much more contagious. It's also not the most deadly. Ebola killed about 50%, MERS killed about 34%, smallpox killed 30%, SARS killed 9%. COVID only kills 1%. So stay calm, stay vigilant, and focus entirely. Take this time to invest in yourself. Read, invest in your business. Try to overdrive your business endeavors right now, because this is the best time to be expanding your creative ideas into your business. And this challenge is going to really force you to think outside of the box and find ways to help people and bring value in ways that you've never had to before. So I wish everybody luck with doing that. And we'll see you guys
On episode 13.
This episode was brought to you in partnership with Nutrilite, the #1 selling vitamin and dietary supplement company in the world, distributed in over 100 countries and territories. Nutrilite is NSF approved to meet strict standards, ensuring public health protection by dedicating 10 years of research and development into every supplement and vitamin product before entering the marketplace. 95% of adults don't meet their body's nutritional needs from food alone. The 7 most common nutrient deficiencies are iron, iodine, vitamin D, vitamin B12, calcium, vitamin A, and magnesium. The best way to prevent deficiency is to eat a balanced diet that includes whole, nutrient-dense foods. However, supplements may be necessary for those who can't obtain enough from diet alone. Supplements give our bodies the strength our immune system needs so we can survive the battle that plays out between the world's biodiversity threats, including devastating contaminants in our soil and water, and the vital role supplementing phytonutrition plays in protecting our body's health. Supplementation has never been more important than today as our bodies fight off inflammation and unknown contagion, the likes of which we've never seen. Oracle Health and Patients of Podcast have partnered together to bring you a special immunity-supporting bundle, including Nutrilite's Immunity Pack, which includes a proprietary triple blend of extracts, clinically tested to support immune function and extended-release vitamin C, made with 5 varieties of acerola cherries, one of nature's most concentrated botanical sources of vitamin C. All 5 varieties of the acerola cherries found in Nutrilite's Immunity Pack are grown on 562 dedicated acres of organic farmland on the largest seed-to-supplement acerola cherry farm in the world, providing broad support to your body's natural resistance with 0 added colors, flavors, or preservatives. The Immunity Pack bundle also includes vitamin C-enriched kiwi strawberry flavored twist tubes with antioxidant support and 1,111% vitamin C daily support, along with a 6-month supply of G&H Protect concentrated liquid hand soap with white tea extract and bilberry extract, known for boosting immunity protection and function of skin cells, for only $70 while supplies last. For more information on how you can improve your immunity health and receive a 10% discount on the Immunity Pack bundle, email patientsofpodcast@patientsofpodcast@gmail.com or oraclehealth@oraclehealth@gmail.com with 10% off Immunity Pack written in the subject line to take advantage of this exclusive offer today while supplies last.